Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
Let's be real, in today's world, just trying to stay focused feels like a full-time job. Our attention is being pulled in a million different directions. And that's exactly why so many people are getting curious about nootropics, supplements designed to help us reclaim a little bit of that mental focus. So today, we're going to break down what they are, the key ingredients to look for, and most importantly, how to think about them safely. Let's get into it. First things first, let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room. If you feel like your concentration has just taken a nosedive lately, you are not alone, not by a long shot. It's a massive struggle for so many of us, and it's not just in your head. The world we live in has become a nonstop obstacle course for our brains. And yeah, this pretty much sums up the chaos, doesn't it? We're dealing with this constant fire hose of notifications that just shreds our attention into tiny pieces. We've got chronic stress that keeps our mental batteries permanently in the red, and of course, if you're not sleeping well, forget about it. All these things pile up, making deep, sustained focus feel almost impossible. So it's really no surprise that people are actively looking for ways to fight back, to get an edge and find that clarity again. And that is exactly where this whole conversation about nootropics begins. Now, the word nootropic might sound super technical or like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the idea is actually really straightforward. They're just compounds, some natural, some synthetic, that support how your brain works. And what I think is so important here is the goal. It's all practical. We're not talking about some magic pill. We're talking about tools that can help with sustained attention, clearer thinking, and just being more resistant to that feeling of mental burnout. Okay, so once you start looking into the world of nootropics, you'll pretty quickly see that there are two main paths you can take. You can either go with a comprehensive formula, which is called a stack, or you can get really specific and target one thing with a single ingredient. Here's probably the best analogy to help you wrap your head around it. Think of a nootropic stack like a multivitamin for your brain. It's designed to cover a bunch of different bases all at once. A little something for focus, a little for energy, a little for stress. A single supplement, on the other hand, is more like taking just vitamin D because you have a specific deficiency. It's incredibly targeted and direct. So let's break down the actual trade-offs here. Stacks, for sure, they offer simplicity. It's one pill, you're done. But they usually cost more, and hey, if something in that mix doesn't agree with you, good luck figuring out which ingredient is the culprit. Singles are almost always cheaper, and it's super easy to tell if one specific thing is working or not. The downside, you might miss out on some of those cool synergistic effects you get when ingredients work together. So you really have to ask yourself, what are my specific goals, and what's my budget? All right, so whether you're leaning towards a stack or going with singles, you are going to see some of the same names pop up over and over again. These are kind of the greatest hits of the nootropics world. So let's take a look at the most common ingredients you'll find on a label. First up is citicoline. I like to think of this one as a foundational brain builder. It's all about supporting the core infrastructure your brain needs to focus. It helps with energy right inside your brain cells, and, this is the big one, it helps produce acetylcholine. That's a super important neurotransmitter that acts like the processing fluid for things like learning, memory, and paying attention. Now, to get that building effect, the dose you'll typically see is somewhere between 250 and 500 milligrams a day. And just remember, this is all about long-term support. The real benefits come from consistently giving your brain these raw materials week after week. Next, we've got what I call a focus tuner, L-theanine. This little amino acid, which you find in green tea, is famous for one thing, promoting a feeling of calm alertness. It's incredibly popular because it has this amazing ability to smooth out the jittery, anxious edges of caffeine, leaving you with just clean, smooth, focused energy. It's a fantastic combo. For L-theanine, a dose of 100 to 200 milligrams is pretty standard. And you'll very often see it paired with about 50 to 100 milligrams of caffeine that's roughly a small cup of coffee. It's a classic combination for creating that perfectly balanced, productive state for when you really need to get things done. Okay, now for a really fascinating one. A brain architect, lion's mane. This is a medicinal mushroom, and it's not about giving you an immediate jolt of focus. Nope, this one is all about long-term brain health. It supports something called nerve growth factor, or NGF, which is absolutely critical for maintaining and even growing new brain cells. Think of this as investing in your brain's future. For a good lion's mane extract, a common dose is somewhere in the range of 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day. And just like with our brain builder citicoline, consistency is everything. You have to take it over time to really see those potential benefits build up. And finally, let's talk about a stress shield, rhodiola rosa. This is what's known as an adaptogen, which is just a fancy way of saying it helps your body adapt to and resist stress. By helping you manage your stress response, it directly fights that feeling of mental exhaustion you get from being overworked, and it just boosts your overall resilience. For a standardized extract of rhodiola, you're usually looking at a dose between 200 and 400 milligrams. Now, with this one, some people actually report feeling an improvement in their mental stamina pretty quickly, sometimes within just a few days or weeks. Okay, that was a lot of information, I know. We've talked about the problem, the different approaches, and the key players. So the big question is, how do you actually apply all of this safely and effectively for yourself? Let's walk through a super practical action plan. But before we jump into the steps, let's just ground ourselves in this one guiding principle. The goal here isn't to chase some magic pill. It's about mindfully using products that are based on actual evidence, are totally transparent about what's inside, and use dosages that make sense. Here it is, your simple 4-step plan. First, know where you're starting from. Track your focus for a week to get a baseline. Second, and I absolutely cannot stress this enough, introduce only one new thing at a time. Third, you've got to give it time to work. Track how you feel for at least 4 weeks, maybe even up to 12. And finally, and this is non-negotiable, talk to a doctor or healthcare professional before you start anything new. And I'm going to say this one more time because it is that important. With the exception of maybe that quick caffeine and L-theanine combo, most of these compounds do not work instantly. The benefits are gradual, they build up. You have to be patient and measure the effects over weeks, not hours, to really know if something is making a difference for you. So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. While all these tools can be genuinely helpful, are they really the end goal? Or are they a way to support you while you build better, more sustainable habits around focus, sleep, and stress? It's just something to think about as you explore what works best for you. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.